they told Obafemi to stay in his lane. He didn't. And now, his career might be over before it ever truly began, and the man who ended it didn't even need a microphone to do it. He did it backstage. Face to face. Eyeball to eyeball. And Gunther, the ring general, the most dominant champion this company has seen in years, didn't flinch. Not once. You want to know what was said? You want to know what really happened after Obafemi lost his mind on Seth Rollins on Raw? Because what the cameras caught is only half the story. The other half? That's what's going to make your jaw drop. So don't you dare click away. Don't you dare. Beat intro music kicks and then cuts hard. Let's go back to Raw. Because if you blinked, you missed the moment that changed everything. Seth Rollins, the visionary, the man who has clawed and scratched and bled for his spot at the top of this company, was making his way through the backstage corridor. Business as usual. Or so everyone thought. Then Obafemi appeared. Now look, we've been watching this kid for a while now. There's talent there. Real, undeniable, explosive talent. The kind of athletic ability that makes your eyes go wide. The kind of presence that you can't manufacture. And WWE clearly sees something in him because they've been slowly building his character, giving him moments, letting him simmer. But simmering turned into boiling on Raw. Because Obafemi didn't just confront Seth Rollins. He didn't just get in his face or cut a promo or do what every ambitious young superstar does when they want to make a statement. No. He went full assault. He attacked Seth Rollins with a ferocity that stunned the locker room. Referees scrambled. Producers rushed in. Security tried to intervene. And through all of it, Obafemi didn't stop. He stood over Seth Rollins like he owned the entire WWE universe. And for about 45 seconds? Maybe he did. But here's where everything unravels. Here's where the story gets ugly. Because what Obafemi didn't account for, what nobody seems to be talking about, is who was watching. Gunther was watching. Section break, lower music. You have to understand something about Gunther before we go any further. This is not just a big man with a loud chop. This is not just a champion who holds a title. Gunther is the locker room's unspoken law. He is the standard by which every single superstar in that building is measured, whether they want to admit it or not. When Gunther speaks, people listen. When Gunther walks into a room, the temperature changes. There is a reason this man held the Intercontinental Championship for over 666 days. There is a reason his name carries weight in every locker room conversation. He is not just a performer, he is a gatekeeper. And Obafemi just kicked the gate. Sources close to the situation, and we're talking people who were in that corridor on Raw, say that the moment the chaos settled and Seth Rollins was being checked by the medical team, Gunther made his way through the crowd of stunned onlookers. He didn't run. He didn't rush. He walked. Slow. Deliberate. Like a man who had already decided how this conversation was going to end before it even started. He found Obafemi. And he said just 3 words. 3 words that people who heard them say stopped Obafemi cold. 3 words that apparently drained the color from his face. 3 words that nobody in that corridor has been willing to repeat on record because the respect they have for Gunther won't let them. We don't know exactly what those 3 words were, but we know what happened after them. Obafemi walked away. Not strutted. Not postured. Not flexed for the cameras. He walked away. Quiet. Head down. Like a kid who just got called to the principal's office and realized maybe for the first time that he had made a catastrophic mistake. Now, you tell me. What does a man who just laid out Seth Rollins on live television, a man who was riding the highest wave of confidence of his entire career, what does that man do when Gunther whispers something in his ear? He folds. That is the story nobody is covering. That is the moment that may have just ended Obafemi's momentum before it could become a movement. Section break, energy builds. Let's talk about the political consequences here, because this is where it gets really interesting and really dark for Obafemi's future. WWE's locker room is not just a place where people change into their gear. It is an ecosystem. It has a hierarchy. And that hierarchy is not always written on paper. It is enforced by the people who have earned their spot through years of sacrifice, years of putting the company on their backs, years of doing the things that don't show up on a highlight reel. Seth Rollins is one of those people. Seth Rollins has been with WWE through everything. Through the Shield. Through the Authority. Through injuries that would have ended lesser men's careers. Through championship reigns and devastating losses and crowd reactions that ranged from hateful to worshipful and back again. He has survived in this business through sheer, relentless, obsessive dedication to his craft. When you attack Seth Rollins, especially the way Obafemi did it, with that level of recklessness and that kind of disregard for the unwritten rules, you are not just attacking a man. You are attacking a symbol. You are telling the entire locker room, I don't respect the people who built this place. And Gunther? Gunther has zero tolerance for that. Here's what the backstage reports are suggesting, and again, this is coming from people with direct knowledge of the situation. Gunther reportedly made his displeasure known not just to Obafemi, but to WWE management. He made it very clear that if Obafemi's behavior was going to be rewarded with a push, with screen time, with a spotlight, then there was a conversation that needed to happen first about what kind of locker room WWE wanted to run. That is power. That is the kind of political capital that only the most respected veterans in this company have. And Gunther spent some of it on Obafemi. Now think about what that means for Obafemi's trajectory. Think about what it means when the most respected man in your locker room goes to management and essentially says pump the brakes. In any other industry, that might not matter. But in professional wrestling, in WWE specifically, that is devastating. Because this company has always valued locker room chemistry. They have always valued the ability of their superstars to work within a system, to respect the culture, to earn their moments rather than just take them. Obafemi took. And now Gunther is making sure there are consequences. Section break storytelling mode. What makes this whole situation so painful and so genuinely fascinating is that Obafemi was so close to breaking through. If you've been watching his work over the past few months, you know what I'm talking about. The crowd was starting to react to him differently. Not just polite pops, not just casual acknowledgement, genuine, electric, unpredictable reaction. The kind of reaction that the office notices. The kind of reaction that gets you moved up the card. He had momentum. Real momentum. The kind you can't fake and can't manufacture with production tricks. And then he threw it all away in one night. One night where he let his ego, or maybe his frustration, or maybe the pressure of feeling overlooked. One night where he let all of that override his judgment and he did something that couldn't be undone. You want to know the saddest part? People are saying he knew. People in that locker room are saying that after Gunther walked away, after the dust settled, Obafemi sat alone in a corner of the building for a long time. Not on his phone. Not with his team. Just sitting. Alone. Like a man watching his future rewrite itself in real time. And he couldn't stop it. Section break call to comment. Now here is where I need you to weigh in because the WWE universe is divided on this. And I mean divided. Half of the people watching Raw that night saw Obafemi's attack on Seth Rollins and felt their pulse jump. Felt that surge of excitement that only comes when someone does something so unexpected, so bold, that you forget for a second that you're watching a scripted show. They saw a star being born in real time. The other half saw a young superstar making the worst mistake of his career. Saw someone who doesn't understand yet that in this business, how you rise matters just as much as the fact that you rise. That burning bridges doesn't just leave ash, it leaves you stranded on the wrong side of a very wide river. Which half are you on? Drop it in the comments right now. I want to know. Are you Team Obafemi? Do you think this was a calculated power move that's going to pay off? Or do you think Gunther just ended this kid's career before it started? Because I'll tell you where I stand and I'm going to make a prediction that I think is going to age very well. Section break the prediction. I think we are about to see one of two things happen. And neither of them is the middle ground. Either WWE leans into the Gunther Obafemi tension and builds it into a full-blown program which would be spectacular television and the kind of David versus Goliath story that this company does better than anyone, or they make an example of Obafemi. They pull him back. They slow his push. They remind him, quietly but unmistakably, that in WWE, respect is not optional. If they pull him back, and the early signs suggest they just might, it could take Obafemi years to recover from this. Not because he lacks the ability. Not because the audience won't eventually forgive him, but because in this business, being on the wrong side of the locker room's most respected voice is like swimming against the current. You can do it, but it will exhaust you. And by the time you reach the other side, everyone else has already moved on. But if WWE decides to make this a story, if they decide to put Gunther and Obafemi on a collision course, then everything changes. Then what looked like a catastrophic mistake becomes the most brilliant, rebellious, career-defining moment of Obafemi's professional life. That's the cruel beauty of this business. The same action can make you a legend or end your career depending entirely on what the people in power decide to do with it. And right now, the person with the most power in that locker room is Gunther. So the real question isn't what Obafemi did. The real question is what Gunther is going to do. Outro build to close. I want you to watch the next 2 weeks of Raw very carefully. Watch where they put Obafemi. Watch whether he gets promo time, whether he gets a match, whether they give him any kind of spotlight or quietly slide him to the back of the line. Because that will tell you everything about how seriously WWE took Gunther's backstage message. And if Obafemi disappears from your screen for a while, if he suddenly becomes a lot harder to find on the card, you'll know exactly why. One conversation. Backstage. 3 words. That's all it took. This is Ring Rumble 1. If you're not subscribed yet, you're missing the stories that actually matter, not just the highlight reels, but the real wrestling world that happens when the cameras stop rolling. Hit that subscribe button. Drop your prediction in the comments. Share this video with every wrestling fan you know because they need to be talking about this. I'll see you in the next one. Don't blink.